So hello and welcome back to the second film introducing how to sit Zen meditation. I'm Reverend Myozan Kodo from Zen Buddhism Ireland. Last time we looked at the body, the essential foundations on which you build your sitting practice. The importance of getting the body correct, getting the posture correct. Today I want to look a little bit at the breath. So the breath is the other really important element in sitting Zen. There are a number of approaches to understanding how to practice with the breath. For example, sometimes people who are new to sitting meditation are given various breath meditations. And an example of this would be counting breaths. And these breath meditations are often given by teachers to brand new, inexperienced meditators, if you will, which in some ways we all are, as every time we sit in the cushion it's fresh all over again. But if you're new to meditation practice, it can be difficult to sit shikantaza, the just sitting practice, as it's called, shikantaza, which is the central practice in Zen meditation. So sometimes this breath meditation is given to stabilize the mind, to create calmness and equilibrium within the mind, so that one is ready to sit and just sit in the Zen tradition. So an example of a breath meditation would be something like counting the breaths. That you sit there breathing naturally, because remember, we sit breathing in and out through the nose, naturally, not trying to control the breath. And what often happens is naturally the breath gets slower and deeper of its own accord. Do not try to manipulate the breath. So a breath meditation given sometimes is something like counting the breaths, as I said. So you breathe in and you breathe out naturally, and at the end of the out breath you count silently to yourself 1. Then you breathe in, you breathe out. At the end of the out breath you count 2. And you continue until you reach 10. And then you begin again. And if you lose count, you go back to 1. Very simple breath meditation. So some people practice this for a few days or a few weeks until they've established a kind of settled feeling in their sitting practice, and then they can set it aside. Counting can be actually irksome and annoying to some people, so you can dispense with the counting and simply be aware of your breath coming in and going out. The whole process of breathing. As you breathe in naturally and you breathe out. And after a few minutes, this creates a great sense of balance and calmness within the mind and body. But these breath practices are still focused practices, focusing on an object of meditation. Whereas, in fact, shikantaza, just sitting, as we practice in the Zen tradition, does not have that focus on the breath. It is the whole body just sitting there with whatever emerges. But I'll talk more about that in the next film, which is about the mind in practice. So today I'm just focusing on the breath in this short film. So breathing and breath practice might be familiar to some of you through the Anapanasati Sutra and things like that, or mindfulness of breathing practices. Mindfulness of breathing practices which create this balance and equilibrium psychologically within the mind. And so in our tradition, in the Zen tradition, these can be fine to calm oneself and to settle oneself, but they then must be set aside as we sit with open awareness to whatever emerges in our body and our mind. So if you do bring yourself into practice using the counting of breaths or the general awareness of your breathing in and out, then this is fine to establish that balance. And once you have that balance established, then let it go. And let the awareness of the breathing recede as you expand your awareness to just sitting there, just sitting. Okumura Roshi, I think, puts greater emphasis, another teacher, a Japanese teacher based in America, puts greater emphasis on abdominal breathing into the abdomen through the nose. So you will encounter teachers that have slightly different understandings and approaches to what to do with the breath, but essentially what everyone is trying to do, I suppose, in their teaching is establish shikantaza practice, just sitting there. So I've met many teachers who say, don't teach breathing meditation, don't teach counting of breaths or awareness of breath, go straight to shikantaza. And indeed there is a lot of merit to this teaching. Nevertheless, I am aware of many people who've come to practice with us in Zen Buddhism Ireland who have found it too difficult to go straight into shikantaza, just sitting practice, and have found it greatly helpful to have a kind of a preparatory, introductory phase of practicing with counting the breaths or an awareness of the breathing. That's fine. But it is a practice that you pass through, in my experience. What else about the breath? The breath can be used at the beginning of sitting to empty the lungs. So we saw in the body introduction, the last film, the first film in this series, that when we sit, we can establish balance by finding our center of gravity. And when you see monks sitting in a Zen monastery, they often, you see them rocking or doing circles, which is opening up the hips and finding the center of gravity. And then they settle into their centered posture, and then they empty their lungs. Long exhalation, as long as you can. Maybe 3 times, do that. I'm speeding it up here, but empty your lungs, and then let breathing in and out through the nose naturally occur. You settle into natural breathing, and of course you're breathing naturally into your abdomen, as you'll see when you try this for yourself. As Okumura Roshi taught and teaches, continues to teach. I should say as well that in other traditions you'll see that, for example, meditation traditions that believe in the stages of the jhanas, the various jhanas of meditation, or stages of meditation, that entering the first stage or the first jhana involves the emergence of bliss and joy, and sometimes the stopping of the breath. And some teachers suggest that if you panic, or if your breath slows down to such a degree that you start breathing again quickly, that this is the incorrect approach. So all I would say from a Zen, Soto Zen perspective is to sit with your breathing however it is, of its own accord. Leave it to its own devices. Do not try to control it. If the breath slows down, to a very, very deep and slow degree, that's fine. Leave it. We do not teach jhanas. We do not teach the stages of meditation in our tradition. They're all included in Zazen. Everything. So this is breath practice. So the body is central. The breath is central to our practice and a correct understanding of the breath. And next time I'm going to talk about what's going on up here. What's happening in the mind. The other important element of the one seamless practice of Zazen. So thank you so much for your attention today. Have a wonderful practice.